Okay, so girls, this is just a bit of the information that we've given to you previously about exams, and it's just kind of making a recording so that you can all access it in one place. One of the things I guess we wanted to really bridge with you is that the exams are coming up, and it is really important you think about how you're studying for them. Particularly because they're a practice. They're not meant to be perfect, and it's not about trying to get the best possible result to the detriment of finishing your subjects and the detriment of life and sleep and all of those sorts of things. It's really a chance for you to see how you're going in your study and what might you do to improve how you study. So please keep that in mind. One of the things that we really want to remind you is that it must be active revision when you are trying to prepare for a test or an exam. So it's really easy to get your textbooks out, put them under your pillow, sleep on them, and then hope that by osmosis they just get the notes into your brain. It's not really useful for that to happen though. So a bit of a test. If you look at the words on the screen, um, give yourself 5-10 seconds to read them through, see how many you can think of, because I reckon if you were to uh, go back now and actually see what was on the list, you might remember the psychologist, doing this test with you, and you would realize that getting the things on the list, it's actually a lot harder than just looking at it. So what you need to really think about doing is making sure that you have active things going on. So either asking yourself questions, coming up with mnemonics, visualizing things, making up a story to help remember things, saying it out loud, that sort of thing. So the main thing, I guess, is that you have to actually mimic the test conditions for this to stick in your head. Your brain knows that you're not going to die if you can't remember how to do a quadratic equation. So your brain doesn't value that information. But what you have to make it do is think that it's going to need this information. And the best way to do that is to put it under pressure, testing yourself using flashcards, writing things down, doing things that keep your brain actively involved in retaining the information. So, your brain, is a muscle. It's just like, your biceps or your glutes or whatever. You've got to actively train it, and you've got to work in a way that will help it to retain information. If you're going to the gym, you wouldn't work on your calves every single day because that would be an overload. It wouldn't work. By the end of the week, you wouldn't be able to walk, but you would break it up with other exercises. So, one of the things that we would advise is that you break up your study time into manageable chunks. Now, your brain can only be useful for so long, so sitting there for 4 hours straight without a break is not going to be very useful. Instead, we'd say it's more effective to revise in short periods and break it up. The other thing is that you should really interleaf your study with other things. So, you still have life and you still have lots of things going on. And even the year 12s with their exams that are worth a lot more, they still do other things. They don't only study for 12 hours a day. So, best thing you could do is to start to actually plan out when you're going to study and set some goals. When you're doing your study, it's really important that you think about what you're actually doing. So, things like considering how you learn. Are you a visual person? When you are revising something, can you remember, like, it's on the top left hand corner of my notes page, it's in pink. What was that, definition? Maybe you need a diagram to help remember. Color coding things, come up with little diagrams, it all helps. The other sorts of things that you might like to do is to play with your strengths. So if you know that you like to sing, then coming up with a song about different information is actually a really cool way to learn as well. I have on the side there written H Hilly Beb Knopf Nina McGow Sips Cluck Cut. I learnt that in year 8 as the first 20 elements, and I'll always have it. Okay, so that's pretty much part 1 done, and then we'll move on to part 2.